Hello, this is the Political Matrix. I am your host, Young Morpheus. And as we wait a little bit before my co-hosts join me, Emmanuel and Chris. I know Chris went to the beach today, so hopefully Chris catches us on time. So of course I'm gonna razz him if he doesn't. So you all know that I've warned him. Um, and the topics that we have tonight to talk about, we're going to talk about the big unemployment lie. A lot of corporations have been talking about how they can't find work and all kind of can't find workers and stuff like that. We're going to dig into that subject, but I'm going to wait for Emmanuel to join me before we talk about that. The other topic that we have is Yemen standing for Palestine. So Yemen is taking a stand. There's a lot of things that have been going on foreign policy wise, which we need to be paying attention to. I know that there's always stuff going on in those regions, and a lot of times we don't focus on it or don't pay attention to it or kind of think that, well, stuff is always going on over there. But we have to pay attention because stuff has been definitely escalating in different ways that we have not yet focused on and we should be focusing on. So I guess until the guys get in here, um, or if they don't get in here, I'll start after about 5 minutes or so. Um, oh, I was going to say just recently I just got onto Discord. So to those who are not familiar with Discord, check it out. Maybe you're not in the loop. I wasn't quite as cool or in the loop, but now I am on Discord also. So if you like to be able to have some of those longer discussions and conversations in depth where you don't feel as restrained like you are on Twitter because you only have those, what, couple hundred characters, or 2,000 characters, I can't remember, whatever. But Discord, you're able to actually get out your full thoughts. You're able to share information where you're not being like, sometimes we have messages within our DMs that are literally, censored. It's like, are you sure you want to send this? And it's like, yeah, I put it here. Of course I want to send it. And sometimes it'll go as far as we can't send it at all to each other. So we have to go other routes so you can be able to see content on our own. Whereas I feel freedom of speech and Americans should be able to view information and make their own decision as adults what they want to believe or not believe. It shouldn't be up to somebody arbitrating from the top what you even get to know about. That should scare almost everybody. So before getting on to that little tangent, back on the discourse, that is a platform which so far I'm really enjoying, having a lot of fun. I got into a nice back and forth dialogue. Some points it got a little spicy for areas where I might have been maybe a little immature or quick to judge. Um, I'll already throw out my apologies on my end, but I felt like I got to explain my perspective. They got to explain their perspective. Um, and I'll let those who were in the chat be able to decide um, which perspective that they believe lends more credibility. So I will leave it at that on that topic, unless I get a chance to have that gentleman on here. I would love to have the debate live and actually get to talk about it, and you guys get to hear, throw in your questions, and also be able to call either one of us out if you feel we're ducking from a question or we're looking at it from an unfair light, or any of those things like that. I always think it's more fun when the audience engages, the chat gets involved. I like for it to be, a communal environment where we all can have a say so, and it's not just me being the, on my soapbox telling everybody what's going on. Well, hold on one second. I don't want to start without the guys just yet, so give me one moment here. I'm gonna shoot one message across and double check. Sorry, I got that plane going by in the background. I actually do have a lot of planes which go across the area where I live, so apologies. I know sometimes in certain videos, sometimes people hear the video, hear the planes in the background, but yeah, just give me one moment. Yeah, I tried giving a call to Chris. Like I figured, we definitely gonna have some fun with him later on when he joins us. I know more than likely what he did because he sent me a picture earlier today of him at the beach. So for those who are regular watchers, you all know what happens when Chris goes to the beach. Chris normally falls asleep after he comes from the beach because the sun sucks all the juice out of him. He doesn't drink any water. He's out there drinking that liquor. I know what he's up to. But Emmanuel should be hopping on and joining us shortly. Um, I guess I'll talk about some of my topics outside of that until I get Emmanuel involved. Um, Foreign policy, just in general, there are so many there are so many moving parts that are going on right now. And just this issue which is going on between Yemen, Saudi Arabia, and Palestine and Israel that we're going to talk about later. That's just a portion of some of the stuff that's going on. We have China also is kind of, I guess they're flexing muscle everywhere right now. They have a situation which is going on between China and Australia. We already know that China has already been flexing its muscle towards the US. China has been flexing its muscle also on the French. What other nation has been, and Germany has kind of been speaking out like, hey, something, watch out what's going on with China. But there, as far as I've seen, there hasn't been very much back and forth between China and Germany. But China has taken a much, much more aggressive turn directly after the election. And everybody's focused so much on Trump being gone that they're not focusing on that. And then at the same, very, very, very same time, while we have this giant superpower, which is upset, and actually, if you think about it, I did that video on my other channel about Dr. Umar Johnson, and he brought up part of the reason why um, they were able to do that. What was it? The COVID Chinese racism, anti-racism bill or whatever. The reason why it got passed so easily is because of the influence that China has right now. And whether it's from proxy or whether it's from China directly, back channels telling them, hey, you better take care of our people over there, or whether they're just doing it to try to do a sign of goodwill to China, you can tell that there are political games that are going on that a lot of people are not even close to looking at. So we've talked about that aspect of China. We also have many of the billionaires in the real estate markets have been buying up a lot of the deeds and loans to the houses in the US. So when a lot of these people start going into foreclosures and things like that, and we have no clue where the actual titles and deeds are, and you think you signed with Remax or whatever company, behind, the person who's holding a lot of these deeds are a lot of Chinese real estate developers. And I think that United States has kind of started to get wind of the situation and realize, oh, maybe we should actually look into this and watch this and see what's going on. Whether it's just a power play move on the economic level, whether it's setting up something else, just, a control over maybe certain industries within the states so that they can have leverage within our government, including, not sure. I mean, but this is something that we all need to be watching out for. Uh-oh. I see Mona is in here. It says, man, they really try to bury your channel. I'm subbed and I logged on because I didn't get an alert. Fuck, you were not on my sub list. I had to search for it. I mean, I know the reason, and what I tell people, I say, if you have a lot of the top content creators, people who have audiences that I'm never going to have. If these people are finding their way to my channel, because I've kind of seen like a good chunk of my subscribers are content creators also. And so it's people, they understand some of the work which I'm doing. And so if my numbers are staying so much lower than a lot of people who have respect for my work and content and are doing content which is similar in certain ways or following or hitting on certain tones, and they're able to get audiences, then it's something that I'm doing or saying that they do not want my. I mean, for instance, I literally typed in the political matrix from my other channel, from my What I've Been Thinking with Marcus Cage channel. What I found is that I had to go down at least, was like 12 to 15 entries before I found it, and it's the only thing titled that. It did show one of my episodes a live stream, but you would think I have shorter videos. Why wouldn't it put a shorter one of my videos or a couple of my videos? I couldn't find the actual part where it goes down to my actual channel until about 12 to 15 people. I look up anybody else and they're the first or second. Why? And no, they shouldn't even be the second or third or any of that. If you type in somebody's channel exactly who they are, you should get them. And that's, that's going into that whole algorithm thing, which they've been trying to do, which they've been talking about, which what did I come up with? Susie W. The little plan that she's admitted to about suppressing certain channels, that all they really want to do is break new stars and cat videos and shit like that. Well, what they're doing is they're trying to force people to watch mainstream media. Mainstream media has been tanking and tanking and tanking. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention to it. I know I've jumped off from my foreign policy topic, but trust me, I'm going to come back to it. If you just look at what's been going on, it's almost a little creepy. But without going deeper and deeper into that, and Mona's right that they make it hard to find my channel. Hard to find a lot of channels like ours. Oh yeah, I wanted to give everybody a heads up on an interview which I am setting up. It should be tomorrow. It will be on my What I've Been Thinking with Marcus Cage channel. It will be with Tedros. I know I'm going to screw up his last name because I'm not looking at it, but I think it's
Fikra. Is it Fikre, Marcus?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Independent journalist. I follow him. Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Yes. Amazing. From Ethiopia, right?
Yes. Chris is the one who put me onto it.
Yeah. I've been following him for a while. He's great.
I just talked to him in the discourse, and yeah, he said he would love to come on. He shared with me because the title of our show is The Political Matrix, and of course, my nickname or code name is Young Morpheus. And so he went. We were kind of having a little back and forth dialogue about if Morpheus was actually a part of the system, the Matrix itself, and and we all kind of come to the same conclusion that yes, we all agree that yes, he was a part of it. And I look at it as yes, he was definitely a part of it, but he didn't realize he was a part of the machine until the very end, when he realized, oh wait a minute, this prophecy that I've been pushing and guiding everybody towards was actually what the machine wanted us to do in the first place.
Yeah. I didn't even know. I didn't know Chris knew him. I didn't know anybody knew him actually.
What I'm gonna have to start doing is I'm gonna have to have Chris start reaching out directly to people, because I'll hear, hey, I think you should try to get this person on or that person on, and for some reason, my communications, like outside of you and Chris and a handful of other people, a lot of people don't even get all of my communications. It's weird. And so, I don't know, maybe I'm just cuckoo. Maybe people are like, I would like to work with him, but they really don't want to work with me. And that's just a nice way of kind of nicely, peacefully ignoring me. But
I've
they,
seen you operate in like I've seen you operate in like other sectors, so I'm a little confused as to why you feel that way. Because I think you were on the Frank Report a while ago, like not even that really that long ago.
yeah, like what was it? When did I go on there? Tuesday, I think.
Right, something like that. So honestly surprised about. I'm honestly surprised about that. There does seem to be. There does seem to be what I've seen to be like a faction brewing where they push out disinformation, misinformation. Right.
Hmm.
I know
Only
Mark.
because of Franco. Only because of Franco, a lot of these people know who I am. Like, it was kind of funny when I was on Franco's show. Um, Steve Poikonen hopped on because Allie is co-host on Slow Day News now. She's one of the new co-hosts,
Mhm.
and so Steve hopped in, and Steve was like, "Hey, y'all don't know. I know Marcus from like way back when he first started, getting in front of camera, and that's true. Steve was on like one of my like first handful of panels that I was on the Hill of Roses.
Okay.
And so I don't know if some of you guys know who he is or not. I'm sure some people out there do. But yeah, Jonathan Munitz yeah, I went on his channel a couple of times here and there. But anyway, let's go on ahead and let's go ahead and get to our topics. Emmanuel, yeah, we were talking earlier, and this was a topic that a couple of topics that he brought up that I was like, yeah, we should really get into it. Oh yeah, don't let me forget. We're gonna get back on to all of those different war fronts that we're dealing with after we talk about the stuff that's tied in that Emmanuel's brought up about the issues with Yemen and Palestine.
Okay. I didn't realize the thing about Palestine. Well,
Oh,
the concept of corporate really seems to. Oh wow, Mona.
small
Okay.
small world, right?
Everybody seems to be connected, and
Mm-hmm.
that's really cool. Let's see. Apparently there was a huge protest for Palestine
Mm-hmm.
in Yemen, and apparently no one really, barely anybody was really talking about it. Nobody knew anything about it. I didn't even realize it was going on until literally maybe like an hour before maybe an hour or two before the show started. So it definitely feels like it should have gotten more airplay amongst media, but
Well,
all the
and
media.
that's funny that you said that it should have gotten more airplay because something that I heard about I was listening to Al Jazeera, and on Al Jazeera they were saying that they haven't been what was it that they were having an issue with Instagram. And Instagram told them that it was a bug with their system, and oh, that's why it was jacking up their search because it wasn't even sharing their stuff. And then they're an actual official major, supposed respectable journalist as much as the rest of them, right? I mean, as far as I thought. Well, they apologize for it, but none of the other Google and YouTube and none of these other people apologize for it because when I had to search for it actually, because if you type in Yemen and just type in Yemen alone, it should pull up the most recent results. The top like 10 results it gave me was from 10 years, 2 years, 3 years. I'm like, I'm not why would I care about random news from 7 years ago? Give me what the hell is going on right now. What's going on currently? That's just ridiculous. And you can tell they can say that they're doing whatever they want with the algorithm, but they're not just suppressing us from giving our takes or opinions or reporting out different things that we hear about. They're literally trying to stop information from getting to us in the first place.
It's funny you brought up Instagram. They recently came out and had to apologize uh uh for for silencing I think one group was trying to bring um, the fact that indigenous women were being murdered, and
Mm-hmm.
Instagram pulled the same thing you're talking about, and then they actually had to come out and apologize. And it's not just them; it's been happening for me across the board, like literally. Well, not just this week, but it's been really bad this week. It's sites aren't working, stuff's getting throttled. I mean, like usual, but for some reason this week seems to be particularly worse. So I'm not sure what it is.
I mean, you don't have a guess, maybe?
Mm-mm. I maybe it's the pro mm,
Because it has to be. It's normally when they're doing stuff like that, it's because there's an event or something that's going on in the world where, like,
right.
it's just better if most people don't even talk about this year.
I thought it was the protest, but
Because one thing that I would say is I've been noticing a lot of the houses being taken. And so, with a lot of houses being taken from Palestinians for so called settled European refugees. I mean, and this goes all the way back to the resettlement stuff that they were doing after 1948, and they're still using and holding these laws from all the way back then and coming in under some kind of refugee status, as if they're literally still being persecuted right now. And I mean, it's that's what they're using to literally steal people's houses. And I mean, I watched one. It kind of broke. I mean, I'm not gonna say kind of. It broke my heart. It's an older gentleman, and they had already taken one of his houses, and he's standing there. His daughter is just screaming at him like, "Where are we gonna live? You're taking our house." And the guy's response is, "If I don't take it, somebody else is gonna take it." That's the attitude of the people over there. Screw you. I'm going to take it just because I can.
you see that feeling in America right now. I think the federal court said that they can overturn the eviction moratorium or something like that. I mean, it's being disputed, but you know, people
But but we
regularly.
but we knew that was coming though.
Yeah, I did. I knew that was coming because, of course, it happened under Obama, and nobody really spoke about it. I can't remember what movie it was, but and it came out. I think it came out like years later, where they were literally where they were literally talking about going in and evicting people, and it was happening under Obama, and people were getting like sick rich off of it, and I didn't know anything about it, and I'm like, it just feels like that exact same thing's about to happen very soon right now. So I'm not surprised. I meant to ask you a question because it has something to do with Israel. I think there was an attack in Israel like at some point this weekend because it's Ramadan, right? Or around this weekend is Ramadan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, right. All right. Can you give me a little more detail on that because uh I don't know as much about that as I should, and but
Well, kind of what's been going on is kind of the same thing. What I was talking about like right before you got on. I said I know that there's been consistent activity that's been going on in Israel and all those surrounding regions, and more tensions between them and their neighbors. And it's typical for us to just say, you know what, that stuff's always going on. They're always fighting. They're always battling. And so, how is this different from any other time? And the reason why this is different from any other time, and the what happened over the weekend, it was some shelling that's been happening from, I believe, the Gaza Strip. But before that, right before that, there was, I believe, there were a couple of missiles that actually made it through the Iron Dome, and it struck in the Dimona area. Now, according to Israeli intelligence, what they said is the reason why those got through is because that was an area that they're not as worried about. So the missile didn't deploy to shoot those down. So that's why. And so people are saying, no, you still can't get through the iron shield. So don't worry about it. That can't happen. Well, what I heard from one of the Iranian diplomats, what he was saying is, yeah, we have a full plan attack. I mean, we have an attack situation. We have a plan for if we really want to attack them. Some of the stuff that's going on right now, it's kind of like somebody who knows they're fighting a battle that they're more than likely not gonna win, and so their goal is, if I'm gonna go down, I got to make it count to at least take you down, because they know any attack that they do is going to be a corresponding attack directly from America, UK, and Canada. They know that immediately that's what's going to happen. But here's the thing, which is different. Normally, Iran is kind of by themselves. They have North Korea, who's like, yeah, pumping the fists and cheering them on, but they can't really do much to help. This time around, they have China, who is more than ready to hop into a situation on the other side against the United States and the UK. You also have Russia, who they've been the whole time, crying wolf, crying wolf, crying wolf about Russia. And what you've done kind of is you've kind of talked up the bully now. It's kind of like you kept talking about this situation so long. Now you've made it a reality. I mean, and if you would have just shut your mouth all this time, there wouldn't be all these tensions and stuff. And you got to think that he's a very prideful man over there, Vladimir Putin. Another thing which people don't understand, and I've learned this dealing with Russians. Russians are the type of people that you never know what is the thing which is across the line for them. A lot of them, stuff which would tick off other people, it might not tick them off. And then stuff that would never bother anybody is the thing which you have did the biggest insult to them ever. And because as the United States, we've just been able to bully everybody around and not care if we offend, well, now Russia has other people who are pissed off at the US too. And so, what's that old saying? Was it enemy of my enemy is my friend? I mean, and I can tell you why. I mean, my theory, if you look at the advisors which Biden has, a lot of them are a combination of Obama and Clinton people. Clinton's mentality, I'm talking about Hillary Clinton, not Bill. Hillary Clinton's mentality is hawkish by nature, that she thinks that she could just do everything by force, and that the United States military is strong enough that it can just beat everything and everybody. The problem with that is, individually, one-on-one with every country, yes, no problem, undoubtedly. They could take on a couple at a time. But at a certain point, you can't keep taking on everybody. At a certain point, you're going to lose that battle thinking that you can go in and fight 1,000 people. You can't do, even Bruce Lee wouldn't be able to do that scenario where he beats up like 15 people over and over and over. Eventually, somebody's going to get that lucky punch in, and you're done. And I don't think that these foreign policy advisors factor any of that in when they go on with all this attitude and bravado. Like, I think about, you literally have the TV reporters, which ask people, well, you don't think he's a terrorist and a thug? And what kind of question is that? They're going to have to sit down and negotiate with these people. And so you're saying, on TV, I want you to just insult this guy a whole bunch and then have to sit in a room and talk to them after you just insulted them, and you have to ask them for something. It's just like that logic is just, I don't understand what's wrong with these people.
I think one I can't remember who was I can't remember who. I can't remember which. Can remember which political official was on TV. I think it was like either last week or the week before or whatever. But you could almost tell. You could almost tell the delusion was in. Right. You could almost tell like the reporter. Well, I guess she called. I guess she calls herself. I guess they call themselves a reporter, but they're just propagandists at this point.
Stenographers.
Right, stenographers. Yes. So, just basically saying, why is Russia doing this? Why is Russia doing that? Why is Russia being so hostile? What is America's response to Russia's aggression? You can almost tell all of the points are so concentrated toward leading towards a conclusion that they want. So it doesn't surprise me at this particular point that literally nobody knows anything that's going on really in the Middle East or anything around like Yemen or anywhere like that. I'm not really all that surprised. And I know that part of it is a coordinated plan by the media, of course, but that social media aspect, it's like they're, it feels like, God, I'm trying to figure out the best way to put it. It's like they're figuring out how to coordinate it almost exactly. Like they seem to be able to want to censor and control everybody's. They don't want to say they want to control and censor everybody's opinion, but you can see that they're kind of leaning toward that area. Like Twitter, for example. First it was, do you really want to point out that article? Now, if I curse somebody out, they want to say, do you really want to curse this person out? Can't you say it in a nicer way? So you see it ramping up to that point, to the point where my personal belief is that they could bring up aspects about the Middle East or the war or whatever, but everything will be so sanitized at that point, no real dissent could really pour out.
It's funny something you said. Sorry to interrupt you, but I was like, before you go into another point, I don't want to forget this. What you reminded me of is like one of my old school favorite movies, The Demolition Man. Like John Spartan comes out there and he's like, "What the fuck is this 3 seashell shit?" And they're like, "John Spartan, you'll be fine." That's
exactly what it reminded me of. That's exactly what that new thing reminded me of. I mean, literally, it reminded me so much of it, and I'm like,
oh shoot, we got a new guest, Red Sea Socialist. How are we doing tonight?
What's up? What was I going to say? It reminded me surprisingly of that, and like sometimes you have to honestly take a step back and realize, is this reality playing out in fiction, or is this fiction playing out in reality? Sometimes, because
remember, see, the problem which a lot of people haven't learned to. I don't want to put it that way because then it sounds arrogant and it sounds like trying to put somebody down in some kind of way, and I don't want it to come across that way. I feel like most of us know a lot of these truths, except for the mainstream has focused to just hammer us away from just admitting some things that are actual reality. For instance, if let's take something good. Let's say fishermen. Let's say there are 67 of the top best fishermen now, or the top ranked fishermen. If 47% of them were all, if 47% of those fishermen were all black men, wouldn't you say, man, those black guys are pretty dominant in the fishing game? I'm just asking. I mean, if you think of that percentage, now let's flip that on its head. And I'm not even going to say who I'm talking about because you all are smart enough to figure it out. When it comes to TV CEOs and owners of the major networks and newspapers and all that, 47 out of 67 are of the same exact nationality. And when you factor in the percentage of those people, that is an extremely oversized amount of control that a group of people has. Now, I'm not even trying to say change it, do any. I'm not trying to say any of that. It's just pointing out a fact. It's pointing out a fact. If there are, let's see, well, there's 12 spots on a basketball team. If 10 of the guys on the basketball team are black, you say that's a predominantly black team, right? Now, it's funny when it gets switched on certain nationalities, all of a sudden there's a problem just admitting what is actual reality, what you can see with your own eyes. Like I remember one of these I was debating back and forth with somebody on Twitter, and they start going into how well, you can't say this because that leads you into certain areas. Well, if a certain person, if it's on record that this certain person, it doesn't matter that this nationality or not, that this certain person actually cheated the stock market, tricked, well, I won't say cheated, he tricked a bunch of people to get them to sell so he can buy low and actually take a large portion of Britain's national debt. You don't get that kind of wealth and it just disappears. And anybody who thinks that, I don't know if you've been snorting Ajax or what's wrong with you. You don't lose that kind of money. In fact, anybody knows what happens if you put $1 in the bank and never touch it for 20 years. What happens? You look back and it accrues interest. When you get a massive amount of money, which is not possible to even spend in a lifetime, that money accrues interest, years. And then as you start to see more and more and more of their locations branching out, it's kind of like this. If I own a sandwich shop, and now you see I have 10 sandwich shops, obviously I'm making more profit. It's the same way with the Federal Reserve banks and all that. It's not hard to dig back and figure out who the hell controls and owns these things. And they didn't lose ownership, nor did they lose wealth or money. And so it's not hard to draw these dots, but for some reason, because everybody's so scared to say it. And in fact, that's more of an indictment on who it actually is. Who's actually the person to be nervous of? Because the old saying goes, find out who's controlling everything by who you can't criticize. I mean, if we look over the last probably 6 months in the media, there's been a certain group of people. You say the wrong thing, you lose millions of dollars instantly. Nobody, I've watched every other group of people get talked about like dog shit by different people, and nothing happens to these people. Maybe they get a Twitter storm. Maybe some couple of people decide they want to boycott their thing, or their feeds get blown up with people trying to cancel them. But nobody else is losing millions of dollars when they say something that somebody doesn't like. Only if you criticize one group of people, you can be destroyed. Now, why is that? I mean, I wasn't going to go into this topic, but it got me a little bit fiery from a couple of discussions I was dealing with earlier. Look what Red Sea Socialist says. This is more exciting than Carmelo Anthony boxing. I completely forgot about the fight tonight, and I used to be a boxer and love boxing. But what I realize is, at this point, what's going on in the world right now, all of these things are distractions which they want us to be focused on. I'm not saying don't go out watch a boxing match or a movie or whatever, but their goal is, we want you to binge watch this. Then after that, binge watch that. Then go and hear this new music that just came out. Focus on this new initiative for the park in your neighborhood. Focus on all of these other things, cat videos, Mother's Day. Focus on everything else but the things that are going on around you on the top levels. Because when you start focusing on those things, you will see what's really turning and twisting things. I know a lot of people think, some of the theories that we talk about, it's right wing, it's left wing. There's no wing to any of this stuff. It's just understanding power and people who don't have power. It's not hard to see the system. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is we are still in a form of a caste system. We are still in a form of a caste system. The only thing is they figured a way to keep everybody in a remote control form of control. Okay, we all get paid for the most part once a week, every 2 weeks. You make just enough where you're able to pay your rent that month, able to pay your car note, phone, watch a little TV, and just have enough money maybe to spend on your kids if you have kids, and a couple of things to enjoy yourself. But never enough to really start stacking and getting ahead to get out of this situation which you're in, because the people at the top need people to work for them. The only way they can accrue more and more profits is if they have more and more workers. Why do you think we don't learn about stuff like we don't learn about thermodynamics? We don't learn about actual how to create, how to start businesses, how to be our own bosses. We're taught the history of how Henry Ford created the assembly line. We're taught about how old things, old technology was made and what they needed to produce it. So what that tells you is we need somebody who's going to be managerial class. We need somebody at the worker class, and we'll fill in all the rest. And we've been so enamored with thinking that we can move up and we can finally get to that position. We don't realize that there's a certain amount of those positions are already slotted for other people. and all it is they got to, for quotas and for appearances of looking fair, they have to have a certain amount of women. They have to have a certain amount of minorities to move in those positions. Most of the time, those are going to be just to show off and pretend that they're being inclusive, that everybody has an opportunity to move up. And that's the formula which they use in every board meeting or commercials. They're going to flash out, oh, look, we have, I don't know, let me think of a name, Yvonne, who's from Pakistan, and she's a practicing Muslim, and she's a CEO. Yay, pat us on the back. But if you look at the demographics of the rest of the people who might be of that same ethnicity and look at their standings in the position or compare their pay, which that's something we never talk about. That's the reason why they don't want anybody to ever talk about how much you make. Because then we start figuring, and it starts becoming easier to see how certain people are naturally being screwed over, whether they know it or not. Let's see. Mona says she saw. They saw my discussion. Very taught how to be wage slaves. That's what I'm trying to remember this billionaire's name. He was talking about how that's what our education system teaches. The people who drop out of school a lot of times have a better chance of success, because for one, you still have your passion and your drive, and you're not being beat down into thinking that these things are not possible. When you get outside of that and you're passionate about something, you find something you enjoy and that you love, you can acquire the knowledge to get you there. But if you're taught that this is all I can do, this is what makes the most sense, and you go through 12 years of people conforming you to, this is your options. Stop thinking about your dreams. Sorry to be a little gloomy on that, but
no, I had 2 points. First point is, did you hear what the Bank of Britain said about crypto, where they basically said crypto is over? It's always fascinating to me when a bank can get up publicly and say, you know what, your whole money system, the whole decentralized system, it's kind of over, it's kind of done. We're just, it's going to end soon, basically, is what they were saying. So I always thought that was kind of weird. Your whole concept about us being basically wage slaves, you're correct. The model of the school system is entirely outdated. I was just recently reading a book that, I think some people's passion does require school. I just tell some people, like, if you want to be an artist or a programmer or something like that, don't even bother. Just just make your own portfolio for art, just build your own program for computer science, you probably just be better off. I mean, look at Gates, look at Zuckerberg. I mean, but my point was is that the
Hey, Kelly's here.
Hey, what's up, Kelly? All right, bacon fish. I love fish.
Mm-hmm.
Since I'm
I actually had fish earlier.
Now,
It's
see,
that
I can't.
interesting. Oh,
No,
sorry.
go
Yes,
ahead.
yes, okay.
Yeah.
No. My brother happened to pop into town, and so we went out. We went out and had lunch together earlier, and so I had a little bit of fish. It was good to see my brother, joke around a little bit, have some fun. So yeah, I had fish too.
Yeah, I was just going to say I haven't had fish in a while, but I primarily only really eat it baked because if I fry it, it's just a greasy mess. It's not happening. And that's always because I wasn't paying attention, so I understand where Kelly's coming from. Um my point was, they say the average person will live to be about 100 years and go through 30 or 40 jobs. And the whole concept of educating yourself for 12 years and then educating yourself for like another 4 or 8 years seems kind of it seems kind of pointless at the end. It seems kind of pointless at the end of the day because you've still got what you still got like another 50, 60 years of life to live. And you got people on retirement age now already saying, I can't retire right now. I still gotta, I can't retire now. Work. So I agree with your point that being truly educated is just something that the world isn't really prepared for. They're just not really ready to handle it. They still operate off of that mandate of learn, earn, retire. And that in it in that aspect outdated itself at least the better part of a decade ago. So
Yeah, actually, Mona, I ate the fish because I know I probably spelled that wrong. It's called whiting. That's the fish I had. Yeah, I because I can't eat seafood, and that's where we went to eat. My brother wanted what was it camarones de diablo, and so that's what he wanted, and so I was like, it's only seafood here. So I had to I had to find a fish that wasn't that was within my laws that I have to follow. So even though I actually love shrimp, I can't have it.
I didn't know that, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, I honestly didn't know that you could. I honestly didn't know that you couldn't have it because
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
yeah,
I
I guess I
follow
grew up.
the dietary law also, where
Okay.
I can't have pork. Was it pork? Any seafood. What else? Um, it's certain types of birds, also certain fowls and stuff. Anything that eats raw meat, like can't eat ravens or random birds and stuff like that. So yeah, there's actually rules to which foods, and a lot of people be like, that sounds weird and crazy. Well,
I mean, I've never eaten a raven. I mean, personally, I've never heard of anybody eating raven, but it's
people
possible.
do. And so when you and the funny thing about it is people think, oh well, that's silly, or you can't or Christians, they'll be like, oh, you can't do that. Well, if you just don't eat those things, it's naturally healthier for you. It keeps your blood pressure down, it keeps from all kind of parasites and sicknesses and all that. So it was put there to protect people. Yeah, Red Sea's right. You darn Israelites. But technically, you got to remember, we're not black Israelites. I'm not a Negro only. I do not believe all Israelites look like me to Wesley Snipes. I've done the research and archaeology um, to look and see, the different complexions that were there and to follow the migration patterns and things like that. Also, if you know who the Northern Kingdoms are and you follow prophecy, um, they wouldn't have still been in the region. So, as far as I understand them, they for the most part, would be a mixture of non-Negro looking people too.
Yeah, it's ironic. My father can't. I'm just gonna bring up my father as a pure example. My father eats nothing but seafood, but he can't process any pork. No pork, no pork. Like if he eats it, not cooked, he gets sick as a dog. So just wanted to bring that up.
Well,
Never eat.
and,
Oh,
and,
see, I
and
didn't know
here's
that. Really.
and here's the thing, which like I guess I will speak for myself, you know, from a his Hebrew Israelite perspective. It is not required for everybody to follow the Mosaic laws. It was not given to everybody to follow the laws. There's a different, like in the Bible, there's multiple covenants. There's a covenant with the children of Abraham overall. And then there is a covenant with the Israelites, and those things are different. And like just a quick synopsis, explaining some of our views. When it talks about heaven and hell, we have different concepts on some of those things. Salvation, we have different concepts on what some of that means. So just want to put that out there. Oh yeah, while we were already talking about what was it, wage slaves? Why don't we go into our other topic that we were already that we had titled the unemployment lie? And I'll let you lead in and tell everybody what we're talking about.
Well, basically Republicans are saying that people operate on unemployment, aren't going back to work. Um, one Republican even made a wild, and I only bring up this Republican because this crazy white lady is from my state. This crazy white lady actually thought people get $600 a week, and then so I wouldn't bring it up until the only reason why I even bring it up is because the Democrats are now following suit saying, no, you can't, you shouldn't refuse about being on unemployment. You should be able to find suitable work. So the only reason why I brought it up is because when the two parties follow the same party line, there's usually bad shit about to happen. So that was the only reason why I legitimately brought it up. They're opposing each other. It's already bad enough. But if they're on the same party line and it don't help anybody, they're about to do something awful, synchronous, awful shit together. So that was literally why I honestly brought it up. You miss Chris's pro. Oh wow. Okay. Oh wow. I'm so mad Chris isn't here.
Kelly always got to throw in a
Right.
curveball on us, man. Always
Mm-hmm.
with the curveballs, and she knows we're not mature enough to ignore her. So I'm gonna
sit there and say nothing. We're not mature enough to sit there and say, you know what? She
yes,
just
we're
said
not
it.
mature. We pretend we are, but we are not mature at all. Um. Oh yeah, Red Sea. I got some information. You definitely need to check out my other channel, Hebrew Apologetics, with Marcus Cage. I might need to come up with it. I gotta figure out a shorter name than that. But I'd already started out with Hebrew Apologetics, and I forgot my password on the other one. So yeah, try to find something close to it to help people find it. But in that one, um, on that channel, I break into a lot of actual history where you're able to see secular history and be able to actually follow things instead of just taking my opinion or other people's opinion on interpretations from the Bible. So I do that to try to like prove and so show certain things. Um, when it talks about, for instance, the diaspora, which happened before, like a lot of people don't know about the diaspora that happened from Israel into Greece during Alexander the Greek during his time period. And if you look into the treatment and what was going on throughout Greek history, they tell you what you only get if you read the 14 books that they take out of the Bible. And so a lot of things you can see throughout secular history that start to explain certain things that don't make as much sense to you. Like I remember this one passage I was reading there and it's talking about that you'll eat your babies. And I was like, what the eat babies? What is this talking about? And then I looked up the siege of 70 AD, and it was documented that the Roman centurions, because they were starving the people during the siege, some of the women were literally like killing their babies and eating their babies because they were starving. And I'm like, I can't even imagine that level of desperation to get to even think about doing stuff like that. But it talks about that in the Bible, and it talks about that in actual Roman history. So on that channel, I break into a lot of those things. But sorry for jumping off topic. I get easily distracted, as you can see. We were
Definitely
talking
put
about.
the link in for your channel or whatever, because I think you were talking about like a couple of people couldn't find it
Well,
or at
I put
one.
it in there. It's in the chat, so they might have to scroll up to catch it. But it's I
Okay.
put it in there after Mona mentioned it. I probably need to put the one for Hebrew apologetics in there also, um, because what I was telling somebody the other day. Ooh, sorry about that. I said, and let me know if you can hear me okay, Emmanuel. Okay. Um, what I was telling him is I said what I'm doing actually is I'm laying a case out and I'm trying to prove something. And because it's not what I'm trying to prove, you just can't make the statement and everybody's just gonna believe you on it. You have to lay out piece by piece by piece by piece, and it's going to take a lot of videos, a lot of content to prove that point. So when I make the declarative statements that I'm going to make eventually, it'll be a mountain of evidence that I'll be able to say, look right here, these last 10 episodes, I just gave you all of the information that backs up what I just said. Now, either you have to debunk all of that, or you have to give me an antithesis to prove what I'm saying is incorrect. And so that's the reason why even some of that when we were talking about the families, the Illuminatis and so-called Illuminatis and cabals and people like that. What we the reason why I slowed up because it's so massive. It's so it's a lot of information to put out to support, and it's easy for somebody to just say, "Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist." And so I've held off a little bit so I can start compiling that information. I got a video that's coming on this channel pretty soon where it's, I'll probably break it into like 3 parts so it'll be kind of shorter and more digestible. But it's going to give a story of some things which happened in history, which we have a different perspective on, um, from somebody who was actually in the room to some of these major events with a lot of these power players. And they say things and they cite information which you can look up to back up what they're saying. And so for those naysayers who always love to, you're a conspiracy, you're this, you're that, explain all this shit. That's what I'll say. Explain why I can point this check is going to this person. This person was saying this before. They changed what they were doing. We all understand political corruption. And some of this involves political corruption going all the way back to Woodrow Wilson. This stuff, some of the stuff I'm going to drop is going to go back into the involvement of some of these people, even with the Civil War, funding both sides. I talked about last week how the Russians actually sent over ships to the north that were going to help them. You know, that's just a part of it. There's so many pieces to it. And me being I don't even know what to call myself history wise. I've studied it most of my life. And even though I didn't finish my degree, I studied quite a bit of it and have never stopped studying it,
See, I
including
didn't know that
traveling to
about
places.
you either.
Huh?
I just want to say that I didn't know that about you either. I thought you had like from the way from the way you converse about history, I thought you had a bachelor's in the math, but you had a bachelor's and a master's. So
Nope.
totally
Nope.
surprised.
I
Okay.
never finished. I did 5 years of college, but well, I started off as going to school for business administration first, and then I switched my major after what, 2.5 years over to secondary education, specializing in history and minoring in political science. And so before that, even as a kid, I literally can think back to being, say, maybe like 10 years old and reading encyclopedias. I mean, I,
No, I
I,
did that too. I had like I had like the Britannica and like the World Book line. They were old
no,
though.
no, I mean, when I say reading encyclopedias, I mean literally like taking this and reading every single page of A through Z of like the whole Britannica.
No, I did that. But mine were like old. Mine were like I guess the first one was like in the 1960s, and then the other one was like from like 1970 something like that. So it wasn't accurate, but I have always been fascinated with information, always been fascinated with data. So I just wanted to say I totally get it.
Well, one of my first things that really got me going. I remember I was probably, I think, 13. My teacher was going through Christopher Columbus or Cristobal Colon. Um, when you start going into really digging into what was going on during that time period, and a lot of people just focus on his voyage, but they don't focus on all the politics that were going on in Portugal and Spain and Italy and France and those different areas. They don't pay attention to the. I'll let those people research and check if they don't know what I'm talking about. But this was a very pivotal. This was something that was very pivotal that was going on, and this is when something major happened. I don't feel comfortable going into it right at the moment. It's kind of a deeper conversation, which I'm laying out on my other channel. But it has to do with religion. I'll just say that much. But it has to do with the Renaissance period. And we'll just say it had to do with the Renaissance period and crusades and things of that magnitude. And those things shaping major events for the next from then up until now for the next, like, what was it, 500 years. And so it was what a lot of people don't realize is they just think that all of a sudden that they were going to all these new areas. They didn't realize that at the same time a lot of people were being thrown out of power too. Some of those people that were being thrown out of power were being thrown into slavery. So that's just, and then some of them were being deported to North Africa. Uh, some of them winding up in places like Nigeria, Congo, um, Ghana. What was it called? It was called Dahomey at the time, now called Benin. Um, and those same people who were kicked out, some were thrown into slavery, some slavery in like places like St. Thomas in the West Indies. The others were kicked out to mostly like Morocco and North Africa, and then eventually pushed further away as they were still, gathering slaves off of that northern part. And then eventually they started coming all the way around to that one particular part of Africa to start plucking those people from there. Um, if those who are not familiar with that area and the history of that, that's even more interesting. That is a place right next to Timbuktu where we have the king. Where you heard the Midas touch, the gold touch. Um, that's where you had King Massa Musa, where he reigned, the richest man to ever live. I mean, and so you go from a kingdom where they're the richest people ever to 10 years later, desolately poor. Europe is all of a sudden wealthy, and the transatlantic slave trade and the Silk Road slave trade, and then you had the Arab slave trade that was right before it mixed into all these things. All of these things were all popping off at the same time, snatching people all from like the midsection region of Africa, going all the way across. So it's I, I've said too much. I'll say that. I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Just gonna cover a couple of things I saw in the chat. Red, we like Kelly too. Kelly, I know you would have wanted to put a third joke. I know Chris would have been happy to see your third leg joke, man. I'm sorry that he missed it. Thank you for noticing our subscribers going up. I'm sure Marcus probably caught that too. And what is the last one? And signs, you are correct. If it involves money, it is corrupt. So thank you for that. She's looking. So I think I've seen that show too. The one he's talking about, Da Vinci's. I've seen like maybe an episode of it. I'm not sure. I would need to remember who the principal character is, but I think I've seen the show.
He wasn't a major actor. I mean, he's a British actor, so you might not remember. But yeah, Da Vinci's Demons was a really, really good show. They made Medici look good on the show. Yes, they did. And you know, there's one that I just thought about it now. There is a problem that I have with that show. They cast only one more in that time period. And that is completely unreflective of how many Moors would have still lived in that area and been powerful and influential. I'm not saying that they would have been ruling Florence, but there would have been more than one. But that's what Hollywood does. They have to whitewash everything. They'll say, well, we know there were some black people there, so we'll put one there. Another thing which I want people to start noticing, which Hollywood does, is any type of historical movie or biblical, because the people who are making it are taking it as a historical movie. Notice, none of these ancient historical movies ever give you a timeline or even try to. When you're watching it, it should say, like, think about 300, for instance. 300 should be giving you a timeline it doesn't tell you any of that. You look at any of these older movies, they don't want to give you timelines. You look at the TV shows like Vikings, no timelines. There's a reason why.
What is that? Just out of curiosity. Nothing. Don't worry about it.
They're popping fireworks here, LA. It's always some kind of celebration.
No, I was just like, it's a significant sound, but go ahead.
Yeah, okay. They might be done now, I think.
Okay.
Sometimes, I mean, we go out there and you see big, huge, fireworks and all that. It's not.
I mean, we're coming close to the summer anyway, so I think for some reason they start selling them like 3-4. I know around here in Georgia they start selling them like 3 months out or something like that. You can see the stores start having them like 3 months out. So
yeah, maybe that's it. You never know. It could be the Lakers are playing, they're popping stuff. Like you said, it's Ocho de Mayo. That could be what, hey, it was during the week, so now we're going to celebrate it on the weekend. And just to be honest, I live in a very, very, very heavily predominantly Mexican area. It's already predominantly Latino, but I would say predominantly Mexican if I had to say a specific origin. Somewhere around probably easily 75% of the up to about 98% of Latinos that live in this area. Yeah, people my complexion don't come very often. What was you saying, man?
No, I was reading the fireworks for Mother's Day thing. Particularly celebrate Mother's Day.
It
but
could be. I mean,
right,
people are here
right, it
about
might have
fireworks for
been to
everything.
each their own. I don't particularly celebrate it, so it may be, maybe Kelly. You never know. So
Oh, well, you
I
know
completely
me.
forgot it was. I completely forgot it was Ocho de Mayo. By the way, I should have remembered.
Well, yeah, it looks like you didn't forget. You got a nice drink.
It's all water, Marcus. It's just water.
Sure. My ex mother in
I
law
don't
used to
drink on
say it was
camera.
water all the
I
time
barely drink.
because
I
she
barely
found
drink
out
it.
that
I
vodka
barely
didn't have a
drink normally.
smell.
Oh yeah, I can't believe we didn't talk. Well, I guess it's not really. I guess I don't really consider it news. I don't really consider that news. I don't really consider that really news. Yes, Melinda and Bill got divorced. I'm just.
If you call that philanthropy, what they do, I mean, I look at what they do is they're really more like Pinky in the Brain. You know, they're trying to figure out what scheme they can come up with now and to do next. Hey, we're gonna go save the world. Instead, they believe they're saving the world. I believe that even if they're well intentioned, because they don't know everything and because they're so cocky and arrogant, the good that they do, they're doing just as much bad at the same damn time, whether they're trying to or not. Now, some people argue that yes, it is their intention to do harm, to cause mischief. I'm not even making that point. I'll go into like one of the situations which they were having with Ebola and stuff like that in Africa. The problem that many of the people had, they were happy that they got the vaccination, but you know what the problem was? They needed ventilators. And so those people got the shots, and then when they needed the ventilators, they were dying from the ventilators, not having ventilators. So you did some good and still killed the people anyway.
Yeah, I think they were talking about like the foundation was in trouble or something like that, and then all
Mm-hmm.
that news went away, and they got like this huge push about Bill getting the Bill getting the vaccine, and then somebody was like um Jeff Bezos' wife and we're gonna take their money because apparently Melinda's gonna get half, and they're gonna go out and they're gonna do philanthropy. Roll my eyes. I'm like, that shit ain't gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. All right, it's just.
Yeah, Kelly says, I hate the billionaires are called philanthropists when they make their money off the backs of the working people and corporate socialism. That's
Exactly.
exactly correct.
That's exactly the.
Here's the thing about it. If they, because I hear people all the time and they say, well, you know, they spent this much billion helping this, helping that. They literally have enough money where they could just say, you know what, we're going to end poverty. But they don't. Why? Why don't they end poverty? Why don't they just, they could say, you know what, we want to take care of homelessness in the United States or even just in their own damn city. If you won't even take care of them in your own damn city, how am I supposed to believe that you really care about anybody that is benevolent? I noticed that whenever it's a cause in some third world country, there you feel like they have some kind of disease, yeah, you're ready to sell or push a vaccine. That's all I see. Whether you're saying that's good or bad, but that's what I noticed. That's the trend. That's what they often do. I love this name, Shadow Ban Refugee. Yes, that's
I know. I like that. That's
perfect fit with us.
Right. I think that would fit for a lot of people that I'm knowing right now. It just they get booted out. You get booted out, and you never see or hear them ever again. And they come back, but they're not nearly as strong as they were before, losing like that, and at least two or three like that lost like thousands and thousands of dollars. Signs more like Phil D. Graves, billionaires.
Oh, go ahead, read that
out. More like Phil D. Graves. I like that. Most billionaires want due to automation and efficiency, but mostly greed. Kelly, philanthropy. You're right. So when people are saying like I'm blanking on his wife's name, that they're going to do philanthropy work and stop poverty. I'm just like, they could easily do that She could have easily have done that. That didn't happen. And Shadowban referencing. Yeah, me too, Shadowban. I would love to win the lottery or the crypto lottery and pump it into the city and like stop like homeless, stop like poverty, and stop like there's literally no excuse for like the richest people in the world to say everybody needs a vaccine, but we still got homelessness. Everybody needs a vaccine passport, but poor people still can't get an identity. Poor people still can't technically get an ID. The homeless still can't technically get an ID because they don't have a place to live. So they're selective about their help, and that's by design. That's not that benefits them.
I wanted to respond to this one I saw. It said, California billionaire parasites suck Cali dry. Now they all come in here to do the same, fam. And that the reason why I specifically wanted to put that one up is because I was doing some work on a job site. What was it, last week? And the area where I was at, it was it was like a train track area. I've drove past there before. Nobody really there, kind of run down little area, but now homeless tents all over the place. And then I've been like on my way to work. I see police stopped over at the sides of the bridges, right and left, shutting down homeless encampments and all kind of stuff. And it's like rampant. And so what I was deciding I was going to do, because I'm starting to see more and more and more, I'm starting to see more people like sleeping in their homes. I'm starting to see more people sitting out with signs, asking for some kind of help. They recently lost their job, recently lost their home. They have small kids, all kind of things that are going on just like that. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to ride around, pull out my camera, show some of this stuff, stop, talk to a couple of people, and then I'll put it up, so people can see that the stuff that we talk about, we're not just talking random lists like, oh yeah, we don't really care about the poor. We really, yes, these are the poor. Here they are. These are real people that this is happening to. Why don't you guys have some kind of compassion? I know they won't, but per my beliefs, the wicked have to be showed all this stuff so that when their judgment comes, they have no excuses. That's the whole point. It goes back to like what Pharaoh, hey, he kept on saying, hey, let my people go. Let them go. Let them go. Let them go. Let them go. He said, no, 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 no. So then he's like, all right, cool. Now I can fuck you up. And so in my thought pattern, what I'm doing is, hey, I'm telling y'all, this is what you can do to get out. You can save yourself. You don't have to get what might be coming to you. I've read what your judgment is. It don't look good from here. You probably should try to do. Okay. Don't listen to me. Sure. Shut down my channel. Sure. Shadow ban us. Sure. Keep me quiet. All I'm doing is trying to help y'all. Now, when judgment day comes and I'm sitting up there saying, hey, I told your ass. I told you. Don't say, hey, man, can you help me? I know you were always cool and you were trying to warn. No. I ain't got nothing to do with that at that point. Perfect saying right there. And the meek shall inherit the earth. And they don't even realize what that means. Boy, they don't know what it means. Like, for instance, a lot of people in the Christian church, especially Catholics, they think the saints are these pasty ass white people that they put up on the wall as the saints to pray to. That ain't what the saints are at all. and when those people find out what the saints are and who they are, because in the Bible it says that the saints cry out every day for the injustice that was done to them, for the blood that was spilled. That's what they cry out for. And they waiting with a two-edged sword in their hands when they rise up to prepare vengeance on the demonic nations. I won't go into the rest of the quote. You all have seen was it not Birth of a Nation, but I'm trying to remember, what was it called? The one with The one with Nat Turner.
The recent one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, was it 100 Days a Slave?
No, not 100 Days.
No. God, I know what you're talking about though. I've been having like the worst, not the worst blank moments recently. But I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. And people forget this. See, they focus on when he came the first time. How he was making water out of wine, making wine out of water. He's feeding the poor, and oh, this little girl, she died. I'm gonna bring her back. He was doing all these nice stuff before. But people forget about this stuff. Jesus walked into the temple, braided a whip, and he was pissed. And then he started beating the fuck out of bankers. That is exactly what he did. He whipped the shit out of them. And what a lot of people don't realize is he talked shit. I know people aren't used to hearing that, but he always had a comeback for you. They'd be like, "Oh, so you doing this?" And he'd be like, "Oh, you haven't sinned. You cast the first stone." And what people don't realize about that is he's down in the sand writing something in the sand. Now, what a lot of Bible historians and contemporaries believe is that he was down there writing their sins in the sand and like letting them know, I know what you done did, I know what you done did, I know what you done did. You really want to call her out? You want to be next? People don't even realize how cold he was with a lot of those people. If you read what was being said, and I know that funky old English trips people up, but he was always calling them out. He always had a problem. And if you look at it, the Pharisees are like modern day Karens and Darrens. They was always trying to tip him up on a technicality. They was like, well, the rules say you shouldn't. Kind of like that asshole was like, breakfast stopped 5 minutes ago. You don't get breakfast. You know the fast food places when they used to do that? It's that kind of person where it's like, dude, you still got hot links right there. You got hash browns. You could just give it to me orange juice. I'll give you extra money. You're like, breakfast is over. That kind of person.
Policy. I can't give it to you. Oops, sorry. Policy.
Well, he is just, but people got to remember that whole mentality of I'm gonna go do all the crap I want to do and at the last minute apologize. It's kind of like you can't do that with your parents either. If your parents told you you better have your butt home at a certain time, make sure you put gas in my car. It don't mess it up, and you bang it into a whole bunch of shit. You get 3 tickets. You come home with alcohol on your breath, and you're like, "Mom, I'm sorry." What do you think is gonna happen to you? Or Dad, I'm sorry. You more than likely getting your chest deflated.
Epic beat down.
Exactly. And what these people don't realize is, like, in the Bible, it literally says, when the wicked are in rule, damn near everything mourns. It says the earth mourns itself. It says the trees mourns. It says the animal mourns. Now think about what is going on right now. They're polluting the atmospheres. That's obviously the trees are mourning. They're mowing down all the trees, not getting enough oxygen, heating up the planet. The people who are in control are literally destroying the ecosystem. And he's like, I didn't put y'all in charge. Even though y'all were wicked, I put y'all in charge, hoping that once y'all got to the top, y'all would stop being assholes. But no, you're gonna continue to be, even though you have everything you could possibly want in this life. You have heaven, and you still gonna be an asshole. Okay, judgment coming to you.
Signs we've been doing. I want to answer Signs' comment.
Mm-hmm.
Signs we've been doing that for doing that as far as back as I can remember. But even 2008, the 1% got like 54. Pretty much just got away with it, and then we're seeing that exact same thing happening seeing that exact same thing happening now. I mean, you can only punt, you can only shoot the lowers in the foot and for so long, so for the whole thing before the whole thing kind of crumbles out from under people. So
I'm gonna respond to signs, but look what Kelly has said there.
Yeah, I saw that too.
About.
Lifetime of Sin and their deathbed. I'm trying to remember what episode he did that. He did do that. He got it like 100 or something like that. And he's like, I repent everything.
And people can call me a conspiracy theorist if they want to, and I don't even care on this one. But you cannot tell me that the people who write Simpsons or the people involved with Simpsons are not doing some shady shit. For them to always know what the hell is about to happen, I don't believe in no crystal balls, and I don't believe a prophet is talking to them. I believe it's something a little bit more nefarious.
Family Guy too. Yeah, like they know it's too for some of them to catch some of the things that have been happening in Hollywood. They have to know. They have to be, they have to be on the ground floor about that. They have to be. It is not. I mystically came up with this, and this should be like a whole episode. I'm just like, there are way too many instances in all of these shows for them to be able to get some of this stuff down the way that they do.
And they mock us. They mock us too in a lot of shit. I never realized it until I went back and started looking back and stuff. Wow. Because if you don't know how you're being mocked, you won't know that you're being mocked. Like I remember this one guy told me, or was it something that somebody told me or something? I think it was a stand-up comedy that I saw. And this guy was talking about how he said he didn't realize how racist Boston was because he never noticed anybody actually say anything racist to him. And one of the guys explained the racist joke that had been going on for years that he'd been working there at the place. And they'd always say, man, don't you fucking hate Monday? I can't stand Mondays. Everybody fucking hates Monday. And yeah, everybody thinks, nobody likes Mondays. Well, the punchline in the joke is they were calling the black guy Monday. That was the nickname they were giving him. So they're all openly saying, fuck him to his face and laughing about it for years. You know what I mean? So that's what I feel the elites do in certain ways. They laugh and mock history. They put stuff that they know, they put the truth about stuff that they're lying about in stuff that looks silly or ridiculous. They like for instance, I was watching this cartoon that was rated for I think 7-year-olds, and it started talking about high-tech DNA gene therapy stuff that scientists are working on right now in a cartoon. I'm like, how is this the plot of a cartoon? Why would this be in a cartoon? It was just weird. And I see more things like that everywhere.
Right. I watch so many. If you explain the whole premise of the show, I could probably tell you what cartoon that is. But let's see. Fox News only exists because of the Simpsons. We'll have some repenting. I think if we're going to say Fox News exists off of a cartoon,
there's the episode.
Yeah. Yeah, when Bart becomes a healer, I think God will want to limit. And it was good, and it was honestly good. It conveyed exactly how evangelical evangelical Christianity actually really does play out. I mean, they literally got it like.
Yeah, we got to jump on this comment. Well, two that Shadowban just put up really good comments. Said Q was a psyop. Thank you. They did that because, for one, they have to loop in some of the people who are skeptical of government, but are not going to do proper discernment, are just going to go with it's against these people I don't like, so they're just going to follow it. It was a complete psyop because they give you a portion of the truth, a portion here, a portion there, and feed you a whole lot of nonsense to make you think that you have some kind of extra power. And what they figured is that's what we can do to the right that pacifies them, that shuts them up. We don't have to deal with them. What they've done with the left, I feel like, is marginalize, 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 marginalize. And they talk about, well, they're shadow, I mean, they're actually like banning the people on the right. And what they do is they shadow ban us, they hide our channels, they put us through all the algorithm stuff so that right wingers can say, look, they're only banning us. And then they say, oh, well, we need to crack down more and be fair across the board. So then they start booting us too. It's a trick that they love to do.
Yeah. Okay.
Says,
Go.
notice how the
Howard.
chat said one
Thank you,
watching the video
Shadow.
is
That is
angry and
what
bored.
Marcus.
It does
That was
that
Marcus.
all the time in the
Mm-hmm.
chat. There's been
Happens all the
times where I've
time.
seen 5 people
All
literally
the
chatting
friggin'
and it says 0.
Mm-hmm. Says no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do it to us all the time. And sometimes we'll get the bad echoing issue. I start getting booted off randomly. And the thing about it is, my router is on the other side of this wall, no more than probably, say, 6 feet from me, right across the other side of this wall. There's no reason why I should have any kind of signal problem. When my phone is not having a problem, I can hear the TV out here, live stream, there's no problem. There's no problems going on. I can get on, do a video about something else, and no problems. But for some reason, even if we tiptoe towards certain subjects, you start seeing it happen.
You really do.
You know what, Emmanuel, I want you to take this one on the Q.
Sure. Q bullshit came around the time that Epstein was getting caught for crimes against humanity. The Q bullshit came out around the time that Epstein was getting caught for his crimes against humanity, so that they could call us all conspiracy theorists, because it spread so far across the board. Yep. It transcended race, it transcended party lines. They just had to. Yeah, that's right, Kelly. I'll show only one watching, but there's like 5 of you randomly chatting the chat, and I'm like, the numbers don't add up, don't match, right? So, but yeah, when the conspiracy spreads out, they need to figure out how to like divide and conquer, just separate people, just separate individuals out, basically saying, well, if you believe it and the crazy people believe it, you need to be, there's something wrong with you. You two can't be, it's wrong to be on the same page, basically. And that's the angle that they're trying to push consistently on a regular basis. Right? It's exactly. You wouldn't have saw that like before, right? But it's interesting. It comes out now. Nobody really notices.
Oh, on one of these episodes, I'm eventually gonna go there. I'm gonna go into the Bill Gates and Epstein relationship. It is interesting, and it is longer than most people would imagine. They didn't just become friends, right at the end when all this stuff was going on. He's known Epstein for quite a while. And that's what I found was the most interesting part of it. I just haven't been able to find the right time to talk about it. I mean, I think I read about it maybe about 6 or 7 months ago, but it was so deep and rich with stuff. I was like, I gotta double check this on multiple sources, because this just almost sounds too good to be true. It sounds like if somebody wanted to be against Bill Gates, this is the story that you would put out. And so I had to try to vet it against multiple things, and it was all lining up. So I was like, even if I say this, I know what YouTube is gonna do. and I can prove it.
And that's the point, isn't it? I mean, that's really the angle, right? It's not it's not to stop you. It is to make you It is to make you question even doing it before you even decide to do it. So before they even say it, they're already trying to say, you can't say that. Yeah, fam, take out.
You know what? I
Some,
think we might have to bring Shadow Band on to go into some of these subjects a little deeper. Here, I guess I'll read it. It says, "Yeah, fam, check out Slow Day News call in show last night. I went over there. What's happening? I went over what's happening here with the Epstein Ranch right now. I haven't even thought about
I
what's
haven't heard
going
about
on
it.
currently. I've only focused on, what was. Yeah,
I
you might
barely know anything
that
about.
might have blown my mind.
I barely know anything about Maxwell at this point. So
Yeah,
that's always
I think
really.
we'll have to bring Shadow Band on here, to dive in deeper on this because we have our different point of views and perspectives and things we know about, but nothing I love more than when somebody out there gets us hip to something else that's going on that we haven't or a
Something
subject that we kind of lost track on and
interesting.
forgot about and brings it back center focus so we could start digging and picking apart some of these threads.
See, Kelly, you can't say stuff like you see Kelly's comment. It's like, see,
In there she did not declare that she would not bring out people over 18 to molest. I see what you're doing. Chris is in trouble, ain't he?
uh, yeah.
Emmanuel, you might end up on that island too.
Mm-mm. I'm
Mm-hmm.
smarter. I'm smarter than that. These people. I don't know what it is about the money. It's like their brain falls out, or it's like their brain falls out, or something, and the crazy just starts to come out.
Zorro Ranch.
No, I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
I've heard of that
yeah. I don't know about that at all. Yeah, you're definitely, or you know what? Even in between, or if you
I know.
kind of later, I don't know if you wanted to hop on or not. I could drop a link in the chat if you wanted to hop on, because good content. Uh, what was I gonna say? Or you know what? If hopefully, I believe you're following me. But just drop me a DM on Twitter because we definitely need to hook this up and talk about it. Oh, what else you say? Kelly
Yeah,
did just
Kelly.
into direction. Yeah, that's true. What does science have to say there? Will there ever be a story showcasing the Tesla's accuracy, decent percentage?
That's not
No,
happening. No,
they want us to forget that there was even any controversy at all with the election. They want
no.
that. So
It's
just
not
like
happening.
Trump was like, I don't want to hear nothing else. Are you on Discord, Shadowbang? If you're on Discord, hit me up there, or else I'll put my or I can put my email in the chat too. Um, Either way, I definitely
Okay.
need to get in contact with you and talk more about some of that stuff because there's so many moving parts of all these issues. It's hard to keep up with all of it, and so that's
Exactly.
almost like what I was saying on Franco's show. Why we should always try to get in touch and stay in touch with all of our different commentators and content creators because each of us do have our different wheelhouses, but sometimes I might covering something that Slow Day News is not covering, and Slow Day News is covering something I'm not covering, and the Convo Couch is covering something that we're not covering. And so to get all of it, you got to kind of see what we're all talking about. I feel like that's the best way to get a well-rounded perspective on what's going on. That way, you're knowing what's going on with Julian Assange, freedom of speech. What's going on that front with the trial because Slow Day News is following that like a hawk, and that does have bigger implications on all of us who create content or journalists or anybody who's just trying to get out actual information, dealing with censorship. So that is something we always got to have somebody who's harping on that and trying to shine a light in the dark. Myself, I like to focus on the foreign policy because I believe that that's leading us to that's going to put us into a certain situation where everything that's everything that's like main focus right now is going to be pushed out of that main focus, and we're going to have to worry about they're going to be what I look at as the issues we're going to be that are going to be front and center maybe a
Mm-hmm.
year from now, maybe a year and a half from now. Like Emmanuel tell you, we're always trying to look at what we see going on and what's around the corner, so that if we see anything crazy for any of y'all out there, that we could try to, ring the
Heads
warning
up.
bell.
Mm-hmm.
And
You
then
know,
of course you have all the people like the Convo Couch who they're covering a lot of the political issues and the nuts and bolts to voting machines and scandals, and there. You have DJ L7 who's doing the whole who's following a lot of the New York politics, and then of course you have people like Status Coup, on the
yep,
ground
absolutely.
reporter. So
Mm-hmm.
follow
Boots on the ground.
all of us. I'm not saying that I agree with everybody's perspectives on everything, but I figure this is the best way to get the most rounded perspective on everything that's going on. He
Also,
said,
I'm
"This
always
is nah, man.
pleasantly
This is
surprised.
extent of my social media exposure." Well, we're gonna find a way to, or I'm just gonna have to have you on here. I'll probably private message you or something, and exchange numbers with you, because
Okay.
we need to talk about that.
Um,
Says foreign policy, the only thing that matters, Holmes, is we buy our privilege, comfort with the blood of the innocents overseas. It has been obtained through wicked means. Could have been said better. Could not have been said better. And and that's all I try to tell people. Understand your role or even your ancestors' role in things, because whether you accept my beliefs or not, it's not up for me to force you to accept my beliefs according to my beliefs. It's just up for me to tell you. And I tell you, put the information out there, and you can accept it or not. And it's kind of like one of those things you go, somebody tells you it's a speed trap. You take your own chance. If you want to speed through it, you might get away, you might not. You might be forgiven for your ignorance, you may not be. But I, the reason why I am so confident in those beliefs is because I can see through secular history things that are fulfilled that were promised to happen in the Bible. Every single person who came against Israel, those nations all received some form of destruction. And that is something which you can see accurately. And when you have a book that's 3,500 years ago, that you can document that certain things were predicted to happen. For me, I can't argue with that. Other people can come up with whatever conclusions they want to. If somebody tells me about somebody that's going to be born 600 years later, they're born and they do all the stuff to the letter and even die at the age that you said they're going to die. And it's not because they killed themselves or wounded. All of a sudden they came down with an illness and died. Who can predict that they're going to die of a random illness 600 years into the future? For me, yeah, people can doubt my beliefs or whatever, but when I see those kind of things, I can't ignore that. And when I can prove, people say, oh, well, I don't believe the Sodom and Gomorrah story. Go to the area where Sodom and Gomorrah is. There's still sulfur there till this day. They talk about in the Bible where the Israelites went to Mount Sinai. The top of Mount Sinai is still burnt till this day. There's so many. Nobody can explain to me if there wasn't a flood, why the hell do we have whales and dolphin skeletons in the freaking mountains? Those things have to be explained to me before I stop believing what I'm going to believe. That's all I'm going to say.
all I was going to say is a very smart man said, I'm not a smart man, I just ask questions, right? I never underestimate the importance of I never underestimate the importance of a good question, context of any situation, because that question opens the door to more answers, more knowledge, more understanding. So there are moments when I feel like I'm not. There are moments where I feel like I'm not comfortable, but I feel like I'm learning something. I catch something, and if it's probably something that I'm going to remember that Marcus said that I can bring up on a completely different channel, and then I can always be pleasantly surprised that Marcus or Chris follows or listens to somebody that I also listen to. So that also, we may all be different, but we seem to all follow the same. We seem to all have our ear to the same. We all seem to have our ear to the ground and listen to the same thing. So I can always respect.
And
We don't
that's
have
and
to be.
that's the thing which I try to tell people. People who don't realize it, Emmanuel's an atheist. For those who don't know that, Emmanuel's an atheist. Chris focuses more on what would be called the conspiracy theory stuff, and then I focus on conspiracy theories and stuff also, allegedly. But I might as well just call it how it is. I'm a religious zealot, and I don't take that. I don't care I don't care how that sounds. I know zealot is not often considered a term of endearment or a good thing, but yeah, that's
Right.
so yeah. I'm a zealot, definitely.
Stick that with the. Usually stick that with the guy standing on the soapbox with the sign up front, screaming out, screaming
Well,
out the end
and
of
then
it.
I was thinking about it the other day. Somebody asked me like, what would my political position be? And I thought about it. I was like, you know what I actually am? I'm not telling people I'm going to go out and do anything, but I realize what I am. I'm an anarchist because I want my society, which is coming after this, to come. And in order for that to come, the Most High has to destroy this one to build up a new one.
Let's see what it. Thank you, Kelly. He was my man. Look how we all get along. Yes, we do all seem along quite particularly well. I'm trying to figure. Oh, let's see. You put up. Can we all at least do chuckle that Joe Biden was told? Was Joe by his handlers not to take him recorded? Kelly.
Oh yeah, and Shadow Band. Oh yeah, I didn't ignore your comment. I see it and I agree.
I saw it too, Shadow Band. I need to look more into Cole actually.
Well, here's the thing. You want to know? I've always been a religious person, but when I started actually looking into financial ties and the old saying, "Follow the money." When I started following the money and following and going deeper and deeper back, and start seeing how things were tied together, and then I started seeing other things that were just weird, didn't make any sense. Ceremonies that these people do. Like, I'll give you one for example, so people can not say, "Oh, well, this is fake." Bohemian Grove. For those who don't know about that, that is an official thing which is known to happen. You can look up the old flight reports of who all was flying into this part of California. Some of the top world leaders are all flying to this ceremony out in the middle of the woods in Northern California to do a weird mock sacrifice ritual with a 40-foot owl. But you guys think that we're the ones making up these crazy conspiracies. They're the ones who are doing this weird stuff, not us. I don't know I kind of have ideas because I understand back to ancient pagan rituals and what they believed it was doing for them and how they believed it was empowering them. I'm not saying I believe in that stuff. I'm saying I know that they believe in this stuff and it can be proven. And so if they already think of these crazy ass things and they think of this and you see this happen and you can see this person is tied to this person, and that are we crazy to say that they're all working together? I mean, come on, it's not that hard to put those couple of damn dots together. Um, Shadowbang says, if your religious zeal brings you to the conclusion that you are your brother's keeper, you will answer for your actions at the end of the road, then be a religious zealot. Well,
We gotta
that
be
is
who we
part of
are.
it. If you are, well, I say in my faith, following the Bible, what it says, and reading it in its entirety, and understanding who it's to, and what it's actually truly saying. When you understand that, you will have a zeal for your brother. That is not only commanded, but you grow to understand that that's how you form a strong nation. The commandments weren't just a bunch of random rules that were made up for no damn reason. It was made so that you can have dietary laws to protect yourself. Thousands of years ago, they weren't going to know these things were bad for them. But it was a cheat code to say, hey, y'all don't eat this. Y'all are going to be healthier than these other people. They're eating all this other crap. If you guys do this, this is how you deal morally and ethically with each other. It gave you rules and guides, and it was for a nation. Just like how America has thousands of laws, Israel would have had its own national laws, and that's no different to what it was going on there. And Christianity, because they've stolen a book that's not theirs, they've interpreted the stuff to mean whatever the hell they want it to mean.
Now, Shadow, I wanted to answer Shadow's question about him calling Biden him calling Biden a moron. This is my personal theory. My personal theory is that there's nothing wrong with him, and he's just acting that way. He's just acting that way to cover up the fact that he is now president. And if he makes a mistake, he can just pretty much play off of being like a doddering old man. He's still like 78. He can easily pull it off. That is my personal belief about it, and his administration pretty much follows suit in that regard. I mean, the incompetence seems too orchestrated for me to believe it. So that is me. And then the second thing he was saying about the Wall Street, they love that bull. They I think a group of I can't remember who was going to do it, but they were like going to try to rob it or take it or whatever. They got NYPD crawling all over that thing. I mean, that is literally that. They love that thing. They love it, and it fascinates me how many people don't realize the symbolic significance of like what if like
Or
a bunch of
another thing, think about the color schemes. They're like Shadow Band is going to like some stuff that, unless you really understand some of the stuff that goes on with the occult, this stuff is going to whiz right over your head. If you understand it, if you don't understand it, hit us up on the DMs. We'll go into more detail. But some of the stuff with the color schemes, the red, the blue, the eagle, all of these things, bullish, bearish, these all relate to certain things. And there's a reason why these certain things were picked. There's a reason why we have literal Egyptian obelisks that's sitting in the mall of the United States that almost, if you look at the way the water is supposed to be a replica of Memphis in Egypt. There's a lot of things going on. You look at the way why there are pyramids on the money. And then if you look at what most of our holidays that we have, all of these holidays come from ancient Roman holidays. Like, for instance, tomorrow's Mother's Day. Do you know what Mother's Day is actually for? It was mother god worship. That's what it was. And then the lady who rehashed it, like in the early 1900s, it was supposed to be a holiday for worshiping your dead mothers. And it got commercialized now. But I mean, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, look up Rhea, look up Sybil. That will, and that starts going into, the mother goddess of Zeus. And and breeding day. That's all of these holidays that came out of these Romans and paganism all relate back to sex holidays. Almost every single one relates back to fertility and sex in some way, some shape, or form.
Okay, I'm going to read this question. I was begging for money from everyone, lobbyists, but they told me I was on all the wrong committees as a freshman senator. We expect much more than this from anyone in the DNC. Yeah, I wouldn't. No, not really.
Signs.
No.
Remember, I did that video. I put that in I put that in one of my clips on the other video, and I went in. I played like the extended version of it because like most people take that little clip. I had like the whole exchange that he had, that debate, and it's like maybe like I think it's like 15 minutes, 20 minutes of the debate that he was having. I recommend people see that full debate because it shows you how sneaky and slimy he was even at an early age.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows you that this guy was always about the money. And like to address Shadowban's comment about Biden, one thing if you look back throughout Biden's history, almost every piece of negative legislation that we have had that have impacted the black and brown communities, Biden has had a part in it. And I don't mean just US. I mean throughout South America also. A lot of people think about Reagan and the crack era and Iran Contra. Biden was right there along with them. So not only was Biden part of the whole crime bill and the crime bill that they were trying to get put through that was much more brutal before that. You go into this issue with the pipelines. He's been a part of that. You go into what was it? TPP. You go into NAFTA. Everything that you could think about. A lot of these stop and frisk laws came out of that same crime bill. I mean, you go back to how he treated Anita Hill. You go back to him saying that I don't care. I'm not going to be responsible for the sins of my fathers 300 years ago. His comments about I don't want my kid sitting in a classroom with a nappy-headed kid and a Chicano. He said these comments, letting people know he is a racist. I put in videos where it's showing him about the busing debate and him having some very fiery language against it. And then you go into who his mentors were, people like Senator Byrd, who was a known segregationist. I mean, that's who he hung around with. All he's done is learn how to be, well, I won't even say he's learned how to cover himself better. He's always been that way. He is ran as, oh, well, I'm this kind of progressive young up and start who cares about, bringing a new mentality to politics. And then all he did was become a national security part of the CIA, DOD state of pushing every horrible bad war and bad trade policy on this country. A complete sellout in every possible way to the credit card industry, to anybody. And you think about it, we literally, like I said this before, oh yeah, I forgot, and Strom Thurmond. We literally just took the politician who was the most corrupt from the credit card state, or not even credit card, all the major businesses go and hide in Delaware because they know it's a tax haven. And this is the guy that we put up into power and think, yeah, he's going to be the one who's going to control and restrict some of these companies and stop some of these monopolies and stop some of this fascism and censorship. All we've done is basically sign on the dotted line for more and more of what we supposedly are against.
See, that's why I can't buy the old man routine. I mean, I've seen, right? The dude who doesn't know where he is. That. Yeah. Don't know where he is. Loves his speeches and stuff like that. But behind closed doors, he's surprisingly astute and accurate, and he can just say things, move things. That's what I always see when I look at him. I'm just feels like an act, sounds like. If it feels like an act and it sounds like an act, it's probably an act. And maybe I'm wrong, but But I used to have family that did that. They just used to, they got old and they played dumb. And then when the show was over, they walked away and they were like, and they would say like, I can get away with anything. I'm the shit, right? It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing I feel when he does this stuff. So
I like this comment here. Let me answer this one. Shadowban says, well, you already know I'm a son. You
pagan.
guys forgive me
I
with
know very
religious
many
stuff.
pagans.
It says, I'm a
Very
pagan, though I appreciate the deities that are not. Jesus is one of my favorite revolutionary figures. Spirituality can be used for good or evil. And here's something which a lot of Christians don't realize. In the Bible, it literally is a verse in there that says, He gave the nations their gods. So it's nothing wrong with people of other nations who do not consider themselves Israelites to be worshiping other gods. That is not a problem. Not at all, like, according to how I understand the Bible, what it even says. Because the Bible is written to Israelites. And when it talks about that Gentiles part and bringing the Gentiles in, it's trying to bring in lost Israelites. All the nations have their deities and gods. And it literally says, if you bless Israel, you'll be blessed. If you curse them, you will be cursed. It's just that simple. So if your nation is cursed, then what's coming to you is coming to you. It's not just about well, he's just gonna say, you know what, I just want to pick on all these other people just because. Like the Abrahamic covenant was like, okay, each nation was given their land, each nation was given their customs and their traditions. They weren't supposed to go in and take other people's land. They weren't supposed to steal other people's land. That was a violation of the Abrahamic covenant. And so if you've already broke that one and you think you're just going to graft yourself into the other one because that's how you, cause it doesn't work that way. Like I told people, I said, you got to understand the the God of the Bible doesn't deal in individuals. Christ will, but the God of everything, he deals in nations. Think about it. When the Israelites left out of captivity, what did he do to Egypt? Destroy them. When they were in captivity to the Assyrians, Assyrians got destroyed. After that, by the Babylonians. Babylonians got into power. They got destroyed by the Persians. Persians, they got destroyed by the Greeks. Greeks got destroyed by the Romans. And then the Romans kind of filtered themselves all apart and started fracturing, having all this kind of chaos. But if you look at it, all of those people, according to the Bible, went against Israel, and all of them were taken down. How I count, there's one more major nation who's against Israel, and their judgment is coming. If I see it 6 times before in history, why would I doubt it was going to happen the 7th time?
All right. Marcus, we need to close it out, right? I think we're going on like 2 years, right?
Let's see. What's this last? Read this last one. In Joe and Kamala, we have the most undeserving president VP ever. A lion digital penetrator. And a woman that got the same amount of delegates as all of us in the chat. 0. That is a perfect comment. Perfect comment to kind of end out on. She did giggity giggity her way to the top. Oh, I like that one. I love the fun. I love the humor of this audience. But yes, make sure to catch us. Same bat channel, same bat time. Catch us. Hopefully, Chris will be back with us. I got to check on him. I know. Joking aside, it could be anything. Could not feel good or whatever. So first and foremost, I hope that he's okay. And then
me too. I didn't actually know anything about that, so I wish him speedy. I wish if he is, if he's well, I wish him well, and send out my thoughts and wishes towards him because I didn't know.
Oh yeah, and tomorrow, make sure to catch my interview, which I'm gonna have. I haven't worked out the time. I'll try to put some kind of note ahead early. Tedros. Everybody knows the man. He, for those who don't know him, he does. What I like about his work so much is he he takes a concept and he just let his mind go and expand out in all these different categories, and then he'll bring it right back around, kind of like I envision that I do in some kind of ways. So I'm gonna have him on what I've been thinking with Marcus Cage tomorrow, and we're gonna talk about his article that he written. This article, I believe, is about a year old, but it's so still applicable and relevant. And so I want to have him on there, break that down for the audience. Hopefully, you all tune in. Shooting some questions. I'm sure he'll be a good sport and happy to answer. Oh yeah, and make sure to catch my other channel, Hebrew Apologetics, Marcus Cage. I just recently dropped another video called Jewish Celebrities. It's kind of surprising. I was actually shocked how many people are in. Watch the video. It's a little startling. I think of the population is only about 14 million worldwide. But that said, I will catch you all tomorrow. Those who tune in, for those who don't tune into that, I will catch you all next week. And oh yeah, if you're not on Discord, been having a lot of fun with it. And I will be on Discord. Check me out on there. I'll try to pop in here and there, have some discussions and chats with everybody. With that said, this is the Political Matrix. I am your host, Young Morpheus, here with my good colleague and brother, Emmanuel, the Blue Maverick. You all have a great, great weekend, and give your mothers a hug and some love every day. Don't just focus on the one day tomorrow. You all have a great one.
Yeah, you too, guys. Have a good night, guys.